For a long time, Hitler was very skeptical about rocket research taking place at Kummersdorf and later on at Peenemünde. The things have changed on the 8th of July 1943 when he was shown a film of a starting rocket, and the launch of the monstrous V2 turned him into a believer as he realized the true potential of this new weapon. Production of V2 became priority as Hitler started to believe that those rockets could change the course of the war. As the Nazis were busy constructing production line at Peenemünde, the British were preparing to strike at the heart of the German rocket development site program. The British were gathering intelligence from the start of the war, and the first crucial information was sent to them anonymously. The author of the Oslo Report was Hans Ferdinand Mayer, a physicist with a doctorate from the University of Heidelberg and director in the Siemens company. He was very concerned with the Nazi threat, and after the invasion of Poland, he decided to act. He mailed initial report to London, and shortly afterwards, the full report. Mayer himself was reported as listening to BBC, where the answer from London was meant to be given, arrested, and sent to the concentration camp. He spent all war in the concentration camp, but the Nazis never knew about his treason. The British dismissed all the data as a work of fiction and planned operation to confuse the Allies. Only one person believed in all the information from the Oslo Report. He was a young physicist, R.V. Jones. For the following months, Werner von Braun and Walter Donberger were achieving the big successes with their rockets. In the summer of 1942, another test launches were made. The two first ones, on 13th of June and 16th of August, were not successful, but the A4 rocket, launched on the 3rd of October, reached the altitude of 80 kilometers and traveled almost 200 kilometers. That was an astonishing success, and the birth of the Vergeltungswaffe, the reprisal weapon. As the Nazis already had the cruise missiles, the V1, this new weapon was designated as V2. The major breakthrough for the British about what was happening at Peenemünde came from overhead conversation between two German prisoners, General von Thoma and Lieutenant General Krull. They were put in the bugged room, and all information learned from their conversation were put in the Air Scientific Intelligence Interim Report, finally compiled on the 26th of June, 1943. For years, the British were stating that the information about Peenemünde came from the air reconnaissance. They claimed they did not receive any information from the Polish resistance. That was a lie, as the Polish intelligence reported in 1941 that the German scientists were working on a new secret weapon in Peenemünde. In 1942 and in 1943, the Poles have even provided maps and clearly stated in their intelligence reports that the Nazis worked on rockets. In the meantime, another report started to arrive, and it was decided to send a reconnaissance flight over Peenemünde. It became clear that rockets being developed by Nazis will pose a danger to Great Britain, and finally a decision has been made to bomb Peenemünde. The code name of this operation was Hydra. The British very quickly started practice runs. The bombing of Peenemünde was meant to be carried from approximately 3,000 meters, or 9,000 feet, a half of the usual bombing raid's height. The crews were never told of the true nature of their mission, but instead they were advised they are going to bomb a new radar site. The second secret operation, by the name of Whitebait, was also arranged. It was a decoy raid of Mosquito aircrafts being sent to bomb Berlin. The British hoped that this raid just before the Peenemünde attack will divert fighters' attention. Another squadrons were also dispatched to attack surrounding German airfields to prevent Luftwaffe night fighters from taking off. The main attack took place at the midnight of 17th of August, 1942. The night sky was clear, and there was a full moon. The first wave of bombers targeted the V2 scientists. When the aircrafts got over Peenemünde, there was some clouds over the site, and the first bombs missed their target. The AA guns opened fire, and even the ship offshore's flak opened fire, but still, there were no fighters to be seen. The second wave of Lancaster bombers aimed at the factory workshops, and the third, final wave, struck at 48 minutes past midnight, attacking experimental workshops. The crews of the Lancasters and Halifaxes have made a mistake and dropped bombs 30 seconds late. It might not seem a lot, but that 30 seconds were extremely important as their bombs landed in the nearby concentration camp. By that time, German night fighters started to arrive, but it was too late. This night attack brutally showed Nazis that Allies knew about their rocket research program. Immediately, it has been decided to fool the British that they have done irreparable damage to prevent any further raids. The Germans painted dark lines across the roofs to pretend to be fire-blackened beams, and they even dug false bomb crates. Some of the British bombs had to delay fuses installed, and they were exploding randomly for further several days. Major General Dr. Walter Dornberger later claimed that the Allies missed two very important installations, which consequently minimized the delay in further research. Among the victims were Dr. Thiel and Chief Engineer Walter, as well as hundreds of civilians in the nearby concentration camp. Overall, that British night raid caused a delay of approximately 2 months, but the Germans were able to restart the research almost straight away, and all the main scientists were unharmed. Although this attack surprised Nazis, in the long term gains perspective, and was rather ineffective. The British aimed at killing as many personnel as they could, and destroying as much research and documentation as possible. They have failed in both cases.